up, YouTube? It's your boy JusRzd, and today we're reviewing a brand new show that's dropped on Disney Plus for the holidays. You feel me? From Star Wars, actually, called The Skeleton Crew. Now, earlier I reacted to the trailer in a Raise Reacts. I reacted to the trailer, fell in love with one particular character. Shout out to the homie Neel, he's so adorable. But now the series has finally dropped. They dropped 2 episodes. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna kind of do a brief overview on them, just because it wasn't really too much that happened in the first 2 episodes. It was kind of slow, but this for sure feels like Goonies of the Galaxy. It's just that's just the feel and the tone that this particular show is giving. E.T. a little bit, is giving Goonies of the Galaxy, is giving like a family-friendly Star Wars adventure. And so I'm all here for it. I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm not a super fan. I'm not out here going crazy like some of these people in the comments be doing on social media. It ain't that deep to me. It's just Star Wars. But I enjoy the stuff that they've put out, and I'm gonna watch it because, like I said, I'm a Star Wars fan. Shout out to the Mandalorian. Shout out to Grogu. Shout out to Din Djarin. You feel me? Shout out to Jon Favreau, and shout out to what's my boy? Kevin Filoni. No, Dave Filoni. There we go. And can we please? It's my only request. You know what? I'm gonna say that for the end of the video. Let's get into the Skeleton Crew. So, Skeleton Crew starts out. We're introduced to this world at Aden, and we're kind of introduced to the crew individually. We see each kid. I think we start with Wham. I ain't gonna hold you. When they first introduced Wham, I thought his name was Wham, and I was like, dang, they named the little black baby Wham after the group. But then I realized his name was Wham, and I was like, oh, all right. Whatever. Shout out to Wham, I guess. But we get introduced to Wham, his father. I don't know if he got a mother or not, but well, I don't know if his mother is alive or present at all. But we see he lives with his father. And where he lives is kind of like a suburb, and this is the first time we ever seen like suburbs in Star Wars. Like, normally we've seen overly congested and highly advanced in technology cities, or like rural towns or desolate areas or beautiful like scenic areas or beautiful like scenery like mountains and hills and stuff like that. But it's usually like very rural towns or very high cities, very advanced in their technology. So it was interesting to see a suburb for the first time, and it looked like one of those like too perfect suburbs. So that was interesting. Just seeing how that was portrayed. They had buses, they had cars. Like it was interesting to see how all that was being done. But of course, the kids of not only the show but also of the planet, they all go to school. So it starts with Wham getting ready for school. We see him grab his milk. It's like a bluish, greenish, grayish milk, eating a cereal or whatever, while his dad's trying to talk to him before he leaves the house. And we see him go to school. We see him get up with Neel on his way to the bus stop. And of course, Wham is a big Jedi fanboy. He had like some action figures of like Jedi and Sith, and he was fighting with them early on before he started getting ready for school. And then we see him and Neel kind of act out a fight when they see each other at the bus stop, and all the other kids are looking at them like they're crazy. Then they get on the bus, they go to school, and we get introduced to the other 2 characters as well. We got Fern and we got KB. KB looks like she got the visor from old buddy from LeVar Burton in Star Trek, but she clearly hers isn't for like her sight, because she can see without it, but it's like she uses it for like some type of advanced sight. So I'm sure it's a way of like it looks like it's a way for her to like analyze technology and stuff like that, just based on how she uses the visor. So we get introduced to their characters, and we just see their day and how their day kind of unfolds in school. We see the teacher. They have a guest speaker in Wim and Neel's class, where she's talking about the career placement test that they have coming up on the following day. And of course, Wim and Neel, clearly they're like best friends, so they're talking about it. And Neel's like, "Hey man, you got to make sure that you are on point for this test tomorrow. You can't afford to miss it because you'll get in trouble." And just looking out for his friend, looking out for his homie. And of course, the hijinks ensue. We see Wim waking up late. He overslept. He misses the bus. From missing the bus, he tries to get his speeder bike out and pretty much cut through the woods to get to the school. In the process of him cutting through the woods, he falls in like a ravine type area and uncovers the door to what he thinks is a Jedi temple. So of course he's talking about it to everybody. He's filthy, dirty, because he done fell in like the dirt and the mud. He gets in trouble at school because he ends up getting caught in the ravine by like a security droid. And they take him to school. They send him to the principal's office, and he pretty much gets in trouble for missing the test. As he's at the principal's office, we see Fern get sent to the principal's office as well. I think she got sent there for like speed racing or something like that. But anyway, we see her at the principal's office as well, and we just we see them have like their first interaction, and we see Wim just kind of talk about it like, "Yo, like I found a Jedi temple." And Fern's kind of looking at him like he's crazy, like, "What you talking about? What you find?" And he was trying to describe where he found it and trying to describe what was going on. And you can see he was like super flustered and all over the place because he didn't know what he was talking about. He was just trying to explain the situation. And then we just see, of course, his father kind of scolds him because of everything that transpired. And he's like, "Look, I'm going to make sure you get dropped off at school tomorrow, so don't even worry about it. I'm disappointed in you, but we're going to make sure you're good tomorrow and that you get here with no hesitation." And pretty much just being a father, you know what I mean? Scolding his child because the child didn't get in trouble. And so, of course, we see Wim end up leaving school. It looks like it's after school hours because Neel is at home, so he goes to Neel's house, and we get to see Neel's whole family, and we see his little brothers. We see his mom and his dad. They all are the same type of elephant alien thing. And he asks his little brother from outside the window. He's like, "Hey, is Neel home?" And his little brother points upstairs. He goes upstairs. Neel's in the bathtub taking a bath. And we get to see pretty much him recruit Neel. And we see they go to the ravine site where he crashed to find the Jedi temple that he thinks he found. And of course, when he gets there, he's like, "Hold on, this is a little different. Like somebody touched something here." And we see KB. Well, we hear a voice, pretty much making threats towards Neel and towards Neel and Wim, and pretty much messing with them. And we see KB and Fern step from behind the rock and reveal themselves, and pretty much they just end up trying to dig out the Jedi temple, or what they think is the door to the Jedi temple. Then they find a control panel. KB unlocks it. They end up falling into the ship. As they're falling into the ship, they end up just exploring the ship. They find a droid. He looks inoperable. There's actually a little alien animal that comes out his eyeball. Then they see like skeletons in the ship. They see the ship is worn down, but Wim still thinks it's a Jedi temple. And of course they split up. They got Wim and Neel in another area. You got Fern and KP in another area. Fern hits Wim on the radio and is like, "All right, don't touch nothing. We need to dip so we don't get in trouble. We need to go home." Of course, Wim, being the adventurous and curious kid that he is, he sees the blinking light. He hits the blinking light. It ends up turning on all the systems and like immediately triggers the system's autopilot, and they pretty much end up launching into space just as Wim's dad ends up making it to the ravine to see his son on top of the ship because they end up trying to escape the ship while it's launching out. And we see him on top of the ship, and he's just like, "Dad, I don't know what's going on." And so he's just sitting there kind of stuck, like he don't know what to do because he can't do nothing because they're in the air. And the ship takes off, and we pretty much see them escape at Aden, and now they're in space, and it triggered a hyperspace jump, whatever button that Wim hit, and they end up jumping in hyperspace to a random spot. It wasn't even a world. They were just a random spot in a galaxy far, far away. And that's how the first episode ends. Now the second episode picks up right where the first one left off, with them in a random spot in space and them not knowing or understanding what's going on. Inadvertently, since the ship has launched and all the power went to the ship, they actually see that the cyborg that they saw that they thought was the droid that they saw that they thought was inoperable has now gained power. So Fern takes the lead in the situation and tells the droid pretty much that she defeated his former captain and is now the new captain of the ship. So the droid is now listening to Fern, and she asks him to teach them how to fly the ship. And so he goes to pretty much describing everything about the ship and how to operate it. They're lost, they're children, they don't know what he's talking about. And it's sort of like, well, do you know where we are right now? He's like, I don't know where we are right now. And then he's like, well, can you take us home? And he was like, yeah, I can take you to this space dock that's not too far out here. It's not too far away from where we are, and we can figure it out from there. And Fern's like, nah, we need to go back home. And she was like, home is at Aden. And he starts to search his records, and he's just like, I have all these planets, but I've never heard of Aden. I don't have Aden at all in my database. So they end up going to the space dock. While they're at the space dock, of course, Wim's dad, back on Aden, ends up trying to reach out to some of the higher ups on their planet, and is like, yo, I need y'all help to find my kids because they might have escaped the barrier at this particular point. And this is it. We've heard them mention the barrier a little bit in the first episode. So it's just, apparently there's a barrier around at Aden that either protects it or helps cloak it. Because the way they were mentioning it, that's kind of what it was sounding like. And of course, they're like not really taking him seriously, even though he's super frantic and just trying to make sure that his kid gets found. And so we cut back to the kids. They arrive at the space dock or the spaceport, and they get off the ship. They start exploring around the space dock. Apparently, this is like a pirate spaceport / dock that's like super super notorious and filled with super nefarious and notorious pirates from all over the galaxy. And they're just some kids from a little world of Aden trying to figure out how to get home. So of course they're wandering around trying to find help, trying to find if somebody knows directions to get back to Aden. They almost walk in a whorehouse. But of course Fern was able to stop him. Wim almost went in there. Fern stopped him. It was just like, nah, we can't. You don't want to go in there at all. So let's go this way. And the lady that was at the front of the whorehouse, she ends up pulling up on Fern and KB when Wim and Neel go off exploring. And she's just like, "Are y'all children?" And they were like, "Yeah." And she was just like, "Y'all can't be here. Like this is pretty much a pirate bay. Like this is like a stop for pirates and nefarious villains and bounty hunters and different things like that. Like you can't be here." And she's like, y'all gotta leave. Like we gotta get y'all out of here. And so she tries to get them out of there. She was like, where are y'all from? She's like, we're from Aden. She was just like, kind of laughed it off, like, there's no such thing as Aden. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, we're from Aden. Like, they're like, yo, there's no such thing as Aden. And so we cut to Neel and Wim, and they go to try to get something to eat. They order what somebody else is already eating at the table, which is like some noodles and some insides of a space bug cracked over it. And Wim goes to pay the man for the food that they got, and he gives them like some old school classic Republic credits that people haven't seen, and I'm assuming are worth way more than the way he was dishing them out. And they tried to pretty much, the guy receiving the money was just like, oh, where'd you get this from? And he's just like, well, I got it from my dad gave it to me or whatever. And with them saying that, he's just like, oh, if you got more, it's going to be worth a lot more than what you gave me. And the customer that's sitting next to him is just like, hey, he's trying to bamboozle you. And it causes a fight between them two. And then Wim, realizing that they're trying to get him for his bread, pretty much throws the food in their face, runs away, and has the whole pirate bay that was by the kitchen chasing him. And then we get our first look at Jaleel White's character, who's he's like a pirate, or at least a part of a pirate crew. And we see him looking at the commotion that's going on. We see the different animals and the different things, the different aliens as they run by. We see the people chasing them from where they were at trying to eat. They finally catch up to him, and they're like, nah, you gotta let us know where you got them credits from. They're just like, yo, we just kids trying to get back to Ad-Aden. It was like, Ad-Aden doesn't exist. Like the legendary treasure planet Ad-Aden, it doesn't exist. And they're just like, I mean, that's where we're from. Fern pulls out a gun on him just to keep him at bay. And before she could actually do something with the gun and shoot somebody, you actually see one of the pirates take the gun out of her hand. And of course, she's a kid, so she don't know what she's doing for real. And we pretty much see before anything really pops off, while they're at a standstill and the pirate has the gun, and they're threatening the little kids at this point. The droid actually comes down to save the kids and helps them out, ends up beating up a lot of the pirates down there. And then they begin to make their escape as the droid is handling business. Then the droid starts to run away with them. He ends up getting shot in the back by the same werewolf pirate that actually opens up episode 1. We actually see a failed heist in episode 1, where we see a ship getting overtaken. I forgot this part about episode 1, but we see a ship getting overtaken by pirates, and they're raiding their vault. They go into the vault. Nothing's in the vault except for a single solitary credit. And so because of that, the person who led them to the vault, that was a part of the pirate crew, pretty much gets assaulted by the rest of the pirates. And he's fighting for his life at first, and then he ends up getting jumped. And so then it cuts to in episode 1. Then it cuts to Wim and Neel and Ad-Aden and the whole suburbs of it all. So now back on episode 2, that same pirate, he looks like he looks like somebody that could be off of Teen Wolf. We see that same pirate, not the one who got jumped, but the one whose pirate crew it actually was that was raiding the vault. We see him pretty much shoot the droid and kidnap the kids and throw them in jail. While the kids are in jail, they have this little alien animal that they try to use to get the keys, because the keys aren't that far from them, but it's just too far for them to reach. And they think they're able to communicate with the rat to get it, and of course the rat just goes off and does his own thing. And as they're talking about their plan and they're discussing what they can do, how they can get back home, whose fault it is, and all these other different things that they're discussing, we see Jude Law's character pretty much come out of the shadows and like, yo, I can help y'all, because he's in jail too. He was actually the pirate that got that got caught in the beginning of episode 1, where he led that pirate crew to that vault that only had one single solitary credit in it. So of course he got beat up and he got thrown in jail apparently. So we see his character in jail with the kids, and he's like, hey man, I can help y'all. I can help y'all escape. We can get out of here, and y'all can take me back to Ad-Aden, and I can help you get home. And so he feeds off of pretty much everything that they were talking about because he was listening the whole time in the shadows. And then it's revealed that he's a Jedi because he's using the Force to get the keys. He gets the keys. And Wim is super excited because he's like, oh, you're a Jedi. And of course he smiles with like a little faint little, yeah. Knowing that he ain't got no good plans for these kids. He just want to get to AT-AT and to get the treasure because it's a legendary treasure city apparently. So it was just funny. The episode pretty much ends right there. And it's just funny just to see the dynamic of him pretty much conning the kids to get them to take him to where they're from. So he can get the treasure because he ain't no good, bless his heart. Even though he's able to use the Force, it's just like, bro, you still not trustworthy. And the kids are just kids. They're gullible, they're naive, they're just kids. Especially Wim, bless his heart. He's the ringleader and is just into everything. Curiosity is going to get him in trouble this whole season. I can already tell because it already got him in trouble for the first 2 episodes. So it's like you just gonna keep getting in trouble and getting everybody caught up in some foolishness. Fern, of course, has way more sense than that. KB, of course, she's pretty much the tech person in the squad. Then you got Neel, who's just best friends with Wim, who's gonna look out for Wim to the end. So it's just an interesting dynamic. Like I said, it really feels like Goonies of the Galaxy, in my personal opinion. But I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it give episode 1 like a 6.5. Probably give episode 2 like a 7. It was cool. Like, I didn't expect much from Skeleton Crew. Some of the CG scenes, especially on Aden when they were going to school in the suburbs and stuff like that, looked real wonky to me. Once they got on the little pirate dock in episode 2, I felt like the sets were a lot more practical, so it didn't feel as super CG with the backgrounds. But when they were on that Aden, the CG just did not look good to me. Like at all. So that's why I give it such a low score, because the CG wasn't hitting for me. But what I will say is, like I said, I wasn't expecting much. I just wanted to see what the feel and tone of the show was, and it just, like I said, it feels like Goonies of the Galaxy. So I'm not mad at that. I give episode 1 a 6.5. I give episode 2 a 6. I give episode 1 a 6.5. Give episode 2 a 7. But let me know in the comments below how you felt about it if you've watched it. It's definitely something that's family friendly, so you can definitely watch it with your kids. But I recommend just turning it on. Something you can watch with your kids over the holidays, man. Just something y'all can have a good family time watching and enjoying. Because you never know what your kids might actually enjoy and get into. So turn it on, watch it with the whole fam. Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus. First 2 episodes are already out. Looks like new episodes are gonna drop every Tuesday, so I'll be reviewing this. I'll probably have reviews for this dropping every Thursday, just because I already got stuff, specific shows dropping on Wednesday. But yeah, man, stay tapped in with your boy. I'll probably be doing reviews for Creature Commandos as well here shortly. I'm still reviewing Bleach: 1,000 Year Blood War Part 3. So stay tapped in with the channel. Continue to watch. Continue to like. Continue to share. It's very important. The more you continue to like a video, the more you continue to share a video, the more it gets pushed up in YouTube's algorithm and shared to different communities. So that way we can continue to grow this channel and this community that we're trying to build here on the JusRzd channel. And we also need you to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Some of you might not be subscribed. It might just be a suggested video that YouTube is suggesting. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime that we drop a new video, which is every day. And never forget, it's FreeSoul to the show free. Stay tapped in, y'all.